This is Educated Artistry. Welcome to this week's episode of Educated Artistry. Today I am joined by my guest, Lacey Salem. She is a licensed esthetician since 2017 in New York. She opened a solo studio in November of 2019, and then 2 years later, she was able to expand and bring on 2 team members. She is a 3-time winning Lashie Award winner, courtesy of the Lash Conference, a former aesthetics educator, and all things lash educator. Her newest venture lately has been Laceys Lash and Aesthetic Supply Store, where she brings in the industry's top brands straight to artists. And today we're going to be talking about her supply store, but also we're really going to be diving into building a clientele that can withstand economic downturns, because I know this has been a hot topic for sure. And I'm super excited to have you here. So welcome to the show, Lacey.
Hey, Kayla, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and to get to chat with you and to help lash artists in any way that I can.
Yes. So what launched your journey into the beauty industry in 2017?
So it was actually interesting. I had always been told as like a kid that I had really good lashes, which to anybody else is like, oh, that's so nice. It's a nice compliment. But I always almost felt bad that like somebody else didn't feel like good about themselves and felt like they needed to like want what I had. And I really feel like that always stuck with me as a child for some weird reason. And in 2017, my mom and I actually took a permanent makeup course. So that was my first dip into the industry. And from there, I really just decided that that's what I wanted to do. And at the time, that was when they were changing the laws in New York to where you needed to be a licensed esthetician to do a lot of these other services. So I took a lash course. And then I went and took aesthetics because at the time there was no rhyme or reason to who they were letting take courses. And once I took that lash course, I was like, oh, this is it. Like, this is really what I want to be doing. So then I went to aesthetic school and I worked for a really great spa right out of school. And I was very, very lucky to have been employed there. And that's kind of really where the bulk of my clientele originated from, even to this day still. So it was just that's just how I got right into it.
Yeah, that is really awesome. So then in 2019, did you go out and expand on your own then? Is that when you like brought on 2 team members?
So at first, when I left the spa that I was working at, unfortunately, and I feel like this happens to a lot of people in our industry, and that's why I feel like sometimes bigger spas and salons struggle, is that everybody, we come out of school, we work for somebody, and then we immediately want to go to our own thing. And for a long time, I felt like, oh, well, that's just the right thing to do. But then once I became a salon owner, I felt like the reason why that's happening is because a lot of big salons aren't running their businesses to set their estheticians or the employees up for success. So the spa that I was working at, eventually they weren't really allowing me to grow anymore. So that was when I turned to the Sola salons, which is like the salon suites that are popping up everywhere now. And they're really great. So in 2019, that is when I opened up my solo suite in November of 2019, and then those few months later was when COVID happened, and we had to close, and that whole bit happened. But I was very lucky. The landlord in our sola, he didn't charge us that whole time, and I was so grateful for that because I don't know what any of us would have done if he had charged us for those few months that we were locked down. But yeah, I came back. I worked in the solo setting for like 2 years. And then after that, well, actually, I should say during that, I started to teach aesthetics for the night program. And during that process, I met some really, really great students who I could just see in the way that they were working with others and how they participated in class, that they would have been really, really great employees to hire one day. And that was when I kind of started to look at my different options, and I found a storefront and I opened that. I had my two students that I like really, really knew that were going to be great come along with me. At that point, they had already graduated and gotten their license and all that. And so I learned very quickly there that the location of your business is extremely important, and not just that it's easy to park at or can be seen from the street, but that the type of demographic that you have in the area can also play a really huge part in your price point and your menu that you set up, and the type of business that you have. So the area that I was in at that spa was just a lot of well-established, more mature in age clientele
Mm.
that didn't have to worry about where their next paycheck was coming from. And that really carried with me as I went solo and then built up my spa. And something that I always would tell my students and tell the employees that I have, and anybody honestly that asks me any questions about how to get clientele, even in Facebook groups, I always say
Mm.
this, that you need to make sure that you're building a clientele that no matter what the economy is doing, they have money to spend. Honestly, that's just the short of it.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like I've always had a clientele that was, and I don't even want to say older, like even more mature, because they're like mid 30s, mid 40s, like in that age range. And I think sometimes, especially when artists get started, they really want to try and get their friends or people that they know that are their same age as their clients.
Yes.
And I'm like, those can be great clients, but at the end of the day, like a college student probably isn't always going to have that extra income compared to somebody who is more established in their career. And that also comes down to like how you're marketing, and even times when I was like really building my clientele and I did model sets, I would not always try and get the like 20-year-old as a model. Try and get somebody that's in their 30s or 40s, because they're going to be able to, when you're marketing to other potential clients, they're going to see themselves more in that set, than just seeing like a super
Right.
young, girl getting lashes. So,
Yeah, I totally agree. Like you said, a lot of us are young when we start this journey, so the easiest transition is to bring in our friends and family and our cousins and all that stuff. But that's all great and dandy, but now you have to ask your friends and family members like, "Oh, let me do a model set on your mom and your aunt and your grandma and, all these other women that are potentially people who would bring in other women of their age
mhm.
range to come in." So yeah, to make your clientele recession proof, as often as we hear that term, you really gotta delve into that and actually do it, because to just constantly have young girls coming in, while it's fun for us sometimes to be chatting with somebody who we have something in common with, at the end of the day, we're still lashing and we love lashing and we should be able to make money. And
Yeah.
if we're just constantly having such high turnover with our clientele because now she's back at school and away at college, and this one just doesn't have a job now, or, her mom doesn't want to give her the money to get her
Right.
lashes done. It's just, it becomes really, really tricky to build your books up when
hmm
it's a constant you're in the constant mode of marketing yourself.
Yeah.
Eventually, you should be able to get to the point where you don't really even need to like market yourself because you have these clients. Like I have clients that have been coming to me for since I started. So for 7, 8 years now. So that's a lot of weight off my back that I don't have to worry about constantly trying to get people to lay on my bed. I think that that's a really big part of it, is to just pivot the age range that you're looking for. And if you're in like some college city, try to get maybe some of the professors to come in and get
Yeah.
their lashes done or something like that. I know a lot of girls do this like as a side thing, but it can always be a side thing if you want it to be, but it can most certainly become full time too.
Oh,
if you want it to be.
absolutely. And I feel like we do hear that phrase like recession-proof clientele thrown around all the time in the beauty industry. So in your opinion, like besides age and location, is there anything else to you or like what does that mean to you, a recession-proof clientele?
It means that no matter what the economy is doing, the people that you have coming into you aren't even affected by it at all. They don't even bat an eyelash when it comes to price point. Even if you're going to raise your prices in the middle of a recession, these are the people that aren't even going to care. They're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. No
Yeah.
problem. I don't care that you just raised your prices by $20. I think another thing we can do as artists too is where we're marketing ourselves or trying to get clients instead of, again, going to our friends and friends of friends to go into a lawyer's office, to go into, a plastic surgeon's office, do all the front desk girls' lashes and all those places because their clients are the clients that we want. The
Mm,
women that are going to get elective cosmetic surgery, they
yeah.
have money to spend. So go into places like that, and I think it just all comes down to the customer service that you provide to has to be up to their level, like their par that they're looking for. You can't have some crazy music with curse words playing in your
Mm,
studio when you have these women come in. You have to be, you have to dress the part, you have to act super professional, you have to be super educated and know what you're talking about. So it's not just taking a course, a 2-day course online for lashes, and all of a sudden you're making money. There's a lot more to it and a lot of strategy that has to go into building a clientele that is gonna last you years and years and years, that you're not gonna have to constantly struggle and pull at straws to get into, to get to
yeah.
that state.
I agree. And I feel like for me, like in 2020 was the first time in business that I had where there was like a big thing that happened, like with the economy and obviously with COVID. And that was, we had to close and everything. And that was such an eye opener for me because even though I was closed for 2 months, I had clients texting me like every week being like, can you just come to my house, like, and do my lashes? Like, I'll pay you double. I had a couple clients that continued to pay me what they would normally pay me because they were like, my income hasn't changed. I don't want yours to either. And that was something that opened my eyes to like, wow, I've built that type of clientele. But also I feel like in the industry, and I've been seeing it a lot like these past months, especially with like the word recession and people saying, I'm so slow, I can't get booked, clients don't want lashes anymore. And there's a lot of fear mongering about it. And for me personally, I think it comes down to the professionalism, probably your skill also, and then
Hmm.
whoever your target audience is and your target ideal client, because there are still plenty of clients out there that are spending money on beauty services and getting things done. And I don't remember, it must have been like in the 2008 recession when they did that, like the lipstick effect article came
Hmm.
out where like lipstick sales went up the roof during that time
Yep.
because although maybe they're not spending, maybe people aren't getting as many full sets, but maybe if you offer, lash lifts or tints or brow laminations, you're going to be able to pivot and actually get a lot more of a clientele in that area, which is amazing too. People are still getting services done. So that's why I've been really saying like economic downturns too, because I feel like it's not even just recessions. There can be so many different things. I mean, even a big economic downturn happened in Maui when they had that fires. I have lash artists that lash there that they lost their salons or their clients lost their homes. That's a huge thing that can happen. And even one of my friends that does lash extensions in Maui, she was saying that clients are still coming in. She's busier than ever. And she's like, oh, this is crazy, but it is that clientele that you build.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what happened to me after COVID. When I came back, my clients, I couldn't answer texts and emails fast enough. It was wild. They were so eager to come
Yeah.
back. And I think that people need to ask themselves when they're not busy, what are they doing? To like, how are they marketing themselves? To who are they trying to market themselves to? What is their experience? Like all the touch points when somebody is experiencing your business, you have to evaluate that too. Something as simple as how easy is it to book with you? I
Mm,
can't deal with not in even on just Instagram alone. I don't even know what city you're in if
yeah.
I go to your Instagram page. Like it should be a seamless transition from somebody finding you to getting to the booking to be able to actually book the appointment to know the directions of how to get to your studio or your wherever you're working to, you greeting them at the door and having the door open for them and you welcome them in before you. Like
Hmm.
every little detail makes a difference. And that's what you might get that really, really good client who doesn't even blink an eye to any money being spent. But if the experience wasn't there when she walked in, she's not going to come back and she most certainly isn't going to recommend people to you. So it all goes hand in hand. You can't come to work in sweatpants and expect somebody to pay $400 for a lash set. It all has to go hand in hand.
Yeah. No, so what I feel like we've talked about a few, but if we want to dive deeper into some like strategies that somebody could either take an outlook on their business today or start kind of looking at certain things when they're marketing to new clients. So what are some strategies that they can employ to attract and retain clients during economic downturns?
So when I opened up my spa, what I did was like myself, the owner, with pamphlets in hand, went to every single business that I thought would have women of the age range that I wanted, the caliber of clientele that I wanted, meaning, they had the money to spend. Because if I'm going into these other businesses, they have the money to spend there, so they must have the money to spend in my business too.
Hmm.
So, I had a very well-known ballet studio near my business. I went to them. Those moms, when their little girls are at ballet, don't have anything to do. They could come and get their lashes done and facials and whatever else. I went to, like I said, lawyers' offices, doctors' offices, plastic surgeons' offices, and just either if you're still really new, you can offer that free set, but even to just leave your business cards there and then you take some of theirs too. I know that
Yeah.
sounds so old school and simple, but to spend hours and hours on Instagram isn't always necessarily where it's at. Women in business aren't sitting and scrolling on Instagram to find their lash artists. They are going into Google, quickly searching lashes near me and seeing who pops up and who has good Google reviews. So make sure that those are on point too. And to have your space set up that feels safe and clean, and that you present yourself as a professional, that any questions that they have about the services that you offer are going to be answered and not just blown off. Don't send text messages to people, actually call people.
Mm.
Like if you get a missed call, don't text them,
Yeah.
call them back. Yeah, so I mean, my clientele, they expect a certain level of service when they come in. And like we were saying, however they're communicating with you is how you should be communicating back with them. And yeah, my clients, even though I've moved locations like 3 times now, I've made it super clear how to find me and how to get to me. And if they have any issues at all, you always take the high road when it comes to customer service, even if they're not right. Doesn't matter. They are always right. And it's just the way it has to be. I mean, I have clients that, like I said, have come to me forever, and I've had clients that come and go, but they still refer people to me. They don't even get their lashes done by me anymore, or, they moved and they can't come to me anymore, but they still refer people to me because whatever you do in your studio, you have to make a lasting impression that when they leave, they're like, wait, that was like the most relaxing thing, the easiest flowing thing. Think about like the best restaurant experience that you've ever had. What did they do to make you feel so special that you forgot about the rest of the world and just wanted to be at that restaurant for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Like you have to create the environment of wherever you're doing your services, even if it's in your home. There's little things that you can do that make a huge difference that guarantee that your clients are going to be raving fans of yours.
I totally agree. I love there's a couple things you said that I want to touch on because you said so many amazing things right there. First, I love that you said you would go to other businesses and that were nearby you and see and exchange business cards, give out pamphlets, talk to them, make the connections because that's something too that I tell artists when they're like I'm having a slow week or I'm trying to build my clientele. I will even say like do a free set on those people like bartenders at high-end restaurants or hotels, trendy coffee shops, your plastic surgeons, your Botox and fillers. I was like, even do a free set on them if you're really trying to build your clientele is something that I've done in the past where I offer this and I kind of look at it as more of like an exchange of services instead of, oh, I'm just doing a free set. Because no matter what, I'm going to be putting lashes on somebody's face that are surrounded by my ideal
Yeah.
client. And you're
It's
going
a
to give
walking it's a walking
advertisement.
billboard.
It's like, if you're going to pay for, ads on Facebook or whatever, it's like kind of the same thing, right? And this is actually putting your work into your location with the people around you. And I think that is something so smart because I think a lot of people do, it's such a social media and like internet world that I think so many of us think that that's how we build our clientele. That's the only way. But if you're trying to build a clientele that is like in your location for in-service services or in-person
Yeah.
services, like you have to sometimes put yourself out there. And even if you find them on social media and you connect, but look up those places, that new restaurant that just opened up and see, who's tagging it and maybe you follow them and then you introduce yourself or whatever it is. But, and then I also love what you said about restaurants because I do that a lot too. Like if I go somewhere and I just have like an insane experience and it made it really memorable, I'll try and be like, how could I implement that into my business, into my client's experience? Because it is so nice to be able to look outside of our industry to get ideas. And so I love that you brought that up because I think that's something that is really like not talked about.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. It's so much easier to just scroll on Instagram to try to find people. And some of us have really, really bad anxiety of talking to people in general, let alone going into a plastic surgeon's office that can be very intimidating for
Mm.
us to go into because I think there's another, notion that we have that the rest of the like the medical world and a lot of other people think that we're not educated. And so to go into those places can be really intimidating. Another thing that I did, so I got to the point with my staff that I had them do it because I was booked. I wanted people to see their face. So we created a script for them to kind of practice with each other to role play a little bit. So then that way they can, get a little comfortable with their words. Sure, you might still be a little nervous, but if you know what you're going in there with what you need to say, and you're a little prepared, you're not just off the cuff. Because, I mean, if you're off the cuff, great. That's
If you could
fantastic.
do it, yeah, then that's
Exactly.
amazing. But yeah,
Yeah. If you can wing it, go for it. But, to have a little certain phrases memorized of what is key for you to get out and the important stuff, to have a little script is not bad either. So I think that that's, something that people are like, oh yeah, like I'll get to that, I'll do it. But old school promoting like that is gonna take you way farther than trying to sit on Instagram all day.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think not that you shouldn't do both, but I just think that people are I think that I don't know. I don't know if it's when like COVID and stuff happened that the in-person connections kind of dwindled out that I think that that is when you're trying to build a clientele that part is more important.
Mhm.
And I actually know a couple artists that don't have a social media presence, like zero, and they are booked and busy and thriving. And they like you would look at their Instagram and think that they probably have no clients just based on that they don't post anything. They haven't posted in like 5 years. So you don't have to be this like
Yeah.
completely on social media because I know that can be a lot for people and especially when they're like how do people juggle all these different things.
It's not easy to juggle everything, but so when you make a connection with somebody in person, then it is important to have some sort of social media
Yes.
presence sometimes because now, okay, they met you in person, you seem really, really great. But course she's going to say that her own work is great. So let me go
Yeah.
check her out on Instagram. Oh, her work is beautiful. She does, have a really nice page, and she has a picture of her location. I wouldn't be intimidated trying to find her, because that's
Hmm.
another thing too. Clients sometimes are afraid.
It's true.
So if they're uncomfortable at all, they're just not going to do it at all.
It's
So
true.
yeah, to have, a picture of yourself so they know the face that they're looking for when they arrive, what the location looks like, what they're going to do when they get there. Some people, you want to welcome people in. When somebody opens up your door, don't just stand behind your desk. Come out from behind the desk, welcome them in. It's all these tiny little like tidbits of the touch points in your business that really make a difference. So, yeah, to then have your social media to make it easy for them to book. And if they are a person that doesn't want to pick up the phone, doesn't want to call to make the appointment, how easy is it for them to find you and
Yeah.
book with you and all that stuff?
I can't remember who it was, but I had watched some video on somebody saying how they post on their Instagram like 12 times a year, and that they pretty much treat it like it's a landing page on their website. So because people are probably, I feel like it's getting more common to be shopping on Instagram and trying to find those things than like looking up someone's website and stuff. But even if you're not big on wanting to post on social media, I love how you're like, you should have pictures of your location. You should have obviously a couple pictures of your work. You should have a picture of yourself so people know who you are. So that way it does have that comfort feeling and everything to it, and they can get all the information off of your page. But I thought that was a really interesting way to look at Instagram too. It was just like, it's kind of like your landing page. And that way
Mhm.
people, when they come to you, it's not like, who is this person? It's a ghost behind this business, but they
Right.
still get that kind of feeling of getting to know you, getting those details, getting comfortable. And then even just like showing up on your stories, then, if you're like not wanting to post all the time. I wanted
Yeah,
to ask you
absolutely.
too, what in your experience and like working and talking with beauty business owners, what have been some common mistakes that they make when they're trying to build a clientele?
I think some people just get into the habit of not even asking for referrals or asking the clients that they do have to, help their business. They get up from the bed, they check them out, and they leave. We're not selling them any retail. We're not having them rebook. We're not telling
Mm,
them that you have a referral program that, they're going to get perks from if they help you out. I think people are sometimes afraid. We just want to get them on the bed. And we're so nervous about the actual lashing part sometimes. And we want to use as much time as we possibly have to get as many lashes on the eyeballs as possible,
hmm.
that we forget about the rest of the experience. Even when they first get there, don't rush them onto the bed. Oh, did you have to go to the bathroom? And if they were late, don't make them feel like rushed, like, okay,
Mm,
come on. I got to get you to lay down. Like, I can't talk to you for 10 minutes first. Like, no, oh, don't worry about being late. That's totally okay. You got here. We're going to do what we can in the time that we have. No big deal. Get them onto the bed, do the great service, and then sit up, have them take a look. Do you need any water? How are you feeling? Is there anything about your lashes that you wanted me to tweak or anything? And then bring them to your front desk, or then bring them to the iPad, going straight to like your checkout area, whatever that may be, even if it's on your phone. Like, don't immediately jump to that. Have like some sort of conversation relationship with your clients that makes them feel like they're not just money to you.
yeah.
You have to make people feel like special,
Yeah.
and that you really care, that they loved what you did.
Mm,
And if I always used to tell the girls when they work for me, if somebody's going back to the mirror and then looking at you and then back to the mirror and then looking at you, something is wrong. Something is
yes.
either bothering them, they don't like how they look. Don't just hope that they don't say anything, because they're hoping that you say something to them.
Yeah.
So don't avoid conflict if it's something that can be fixed in the moment, because for sure they're going to go home and then they're just going to text you. So just avoid it in person. And again, those little things is what's going to make somebody be like, wow, she really took the time just now to make sure that I was happy before I left. I am going to send her other people.
Yeah.
And then when you are checking them out, just be like, hey, just let you know, Susan, whatever her name is. I do have a referral program. I am still taking new clients. I'm always trying to, grow my business. If you have anybody that is interested in getting lashes or has any questions about lashes, if they come to me, you'll get 15% off your next service after she comes to me. It's something so small, and now Susan might have 5 friends that have been hating their lash artist or never tried them before. And now that you've proven that you're super educated and can answer all of Susan's questions, she knows that any questions that her friend Barbara has, you'll be able to answer and take care of her. And the friend feels good about referring their friend, or the client rather, has, confidence in you that you're going to give their friend really good work.
Yeah.
So it's so important to give the clients that you do have celebrity, like everybody should be leaving feeling like if Kim Kardashian lay down on your bed, how would you treat her? You would make sure that her service is on point from beginning to end, wouldn't you?
Yes.
So you want to treat everybody like that. That way they know, oh, if I send somebody to Lacey, to Kayla, to whoever, that they're going to be taken care of. I know my friend Nancy or whatever can be a little particular, but Lacey can handle it. So I'm not worried if I have to send her to you. You know what I mean? So it's all those little things.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I do think that people, I can see, I remember being a new artist and like having that nervousness of like, I just want to get them on the bed, get the service. If they are 10 minutes late, you're like, oh my God, I'm stressed. But I started to think of it like we have our steps, right? When we're doing our lash service, where it's like we're cleansing, we're priming, whatever, putting the iPads down. You almost have to think of the beginning portion as your pre-steps, right? So it's like the pre-experience and the post-experience. And for me, when I was able to kind of outline it like that, I'm like, okay, so when they come in, I greet them by their name. I'm standing up. I'm not texting at my phone. I ask them, do you need to use the restroom? And however I ask, and then when they get out of the restroom, I'm like, hey, would you like the blanket or the bed warmer on today? Or do you want this, that? Make it a part of your service of asking those questions. And that's all a part of the experience. And even when people get nervous about selling retail or talking about a referral program after the service is done, that's also part of the experience. You telling your clients about retail and how to cleanse their lashes, that's an experience. They need to know those things. They need to be educated on those things. And for me, if I can just like lay it out like that, I feel like it just makes it a lot easier. And you just get into the routine where it's just natural and it starts happening. You don't even have to think about it. But you need to provide, you can't just provide an amazing experience the first time they come in. And then maybe you get to know each other, you feel a little comfortable, and then you start slacking on certain things. It's like you can't do
Yeah.
that. You have to be consistent. And that is what, for me personally, is when so many people will stay with you long term.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I have clients, like I said, that have been coming to me since I started. Every single time I ask them, how'd your lashes do? How are you feeling about the length, the density, whatever,
Mm.
anything that we wanted to change. Every single time. I know she's gonna say, no, all good. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like, keep
Yeah,
doing
and
what you're
that's
doing.
a great point too, is to, even if you've seen a client for many years, like always ask, like, how are
Yep.
you feeling about him? Want to switch anything up? Because that is just a huge part of the customer experience. No, I think that is amazing.
Yeah.
And
Because
I,
you don't know. Maybe she has a wedding this weekend where she's like, oh, you know what? Now that you did ask, I do want to go a little bigger or longer so they show up better in pictures. Let's bump up the
yeah.
volume. So like you never know. And I mean, I think even if you're solo or if you do have a team, the biggest thing to get all of this going and to start to make your clientele recession proof is to have systems. Everything has to have a system, a way that it's done, a protocol for everything. Even if you're by yourself, I highly recommend sitting down one day and writing down steps one through,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's 10 or 50, 1 through 50, every little detail of what has to happen for every single client for every service that you have. Whether you do facials, lashes, whatever it is, every single service has to have a protocol that you follow step by step. When I do a facial, I always start with aromatherapy, and then I do this, and then I do that. Literally every little step. And then that way you have that roadmap to follow. And it's going to be consistent too. Consistency in your services is what's going to, make a huge difference. If one day a client comes in and you offer them a water, and then the next time they didn't bring their water because, oh, they know you have them now, and now you don't have water again.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like, well, now I'm dying of thirst,
Right.
and
I was counting on you. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So to have systems, I mean, when I had my staff, I had a way that we put the garbage bags in the garbage can. If
Yeah.
they weren't done and folded and tucked, I didn't want to see the bags sticking out from the cover. So even something as simple and silly as that, everything has to have a system. And then once it's taught, if you do have staff, you don't have to worry about it anymore. And if somebody's
Yeah.
not doing it right, just be like, go look at the binder. Something
I
about your
was,
protocol for this
yeah.
isn't lining up with everybody else's.
I was just gonna say that if anybody listening is like, even if they're solo now, but they want to build a team, like that, because that is going to be like your training manual right there, and to make sure that everybody's getting a consistent experience, because that's how you want every client to be treated by your staff the way that you would treat them. So it's like that is so valuable to just write all those down now, and then maybe add to it or whatever, or write it down and maybe be like, oh, my system's really short. Like maybe I need to add a few things in here to make it a little bit better for clients. No, but I think
Yeah.
there's so many like good ideas that people can take away and just kind of outlooks that they can have on their business. But I wanted to touch on your supply store that you are opening up. So how is that going? And I know we talked about a couple brands that you have in there, and
Yeah.
let's just chat about that.
I I started it when I still had my spa, and originally I wanted it to be very mobile,
Mm,
almost like a pop-up type of situation. So me just risking it all, bought a van and had the whole storefront in the van. Once I lost the spa though, because I do trainings too, I realized I can't do trainings out of this van. So I'm ditching the van, and now I'm in a second studio in the same building that I do my services in. And I have some really great brands. I have PLA, Lash Reality, Lash Anarchist, I Magic Lash, Borboleta, and I carry some permanent makeup supplies too.
cool.
Hopefully adding some aesthetics brands too. I know for solo estheticians it's really hard to get good skincare because all of those brands want, a $10,000 minimum opening order.
Yeah.
So I'm working on some things for that too. I'm always looking for other brands to add. But yeah, so I'm in Huntington, New York, if anybody listening wants to come visit. But I also am doing shipping too.
Oh, cool.
So most of the brands that I carry are allowing me to ship. So I think a lot of us don't use just one brand in
So
the
true.
industry. I get a tweezer from here, I get my glue from here, I get my volume from here, my premates from here. So a big part of what I'm trying to do too is to limit how many boxes we need to get sent to our house. So you can, just pay for shipping once. You can get 4 or 5 brands in one shipment now and only have to pay for shipping once. And possibly if your order is big enough, because now you're not buying one item here and one
Mm,
item here, you can just maybe not even pay for shipping at all if you're able to get enough
yeah.
stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm always looking to add stuff and serve the community. I think where I am at least, there's really no community. I don't know if it's like a New Yorker thing. We're
Mm,
very standoffish to each other, but I'm really looking to, create a little bit of a community who just women and guys, everybody who
yeah.
wants to, be part of something to help each other.
I love that. And it is so, that's the one thing that sucks so bad, is that like hair, nails have supply stores that everywhere that you can go
Yep.
to and you can get your supplies with lashes. It's like, I'm out of adhesive. Like, oh shit, I
Yeah.
am screwed, you know? So I think
Right.
it's
And
really
I,
cool
yeah, you got to
that,
ask the girl down the block that you don't
yeah,
really like
you're like, do you
if you
have
could
an
borrow
extra
her adhesive.
bottle?
Yeah,
Yeah. No,
exactly.
so I do love that there are more like supply stores like what you're doing that are popping up in certain areas, or even brands that are opening up for their own supply store for their area for their product. But it is so nice to be able to, and that's amazing that the brands are letting you do shipping too, that you can order all in one, send it out. Because yeah, I know for me, when I do a supply order, it's like, okay, I got to get my premates from here, I got to get my adhesive from here, and then I need my brown lashes from here, it's just like,
Yeah,
ugh. And then yeah, the shipping fees, you're like, I spent $50 just to pay for
on
shipping for all these
shipping.
things.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this has been amazing. Do you want to tell people what you have coming up like the rest of the year, if you have any fun events or anything you're going to, and then let's just plug your Instagram so everyone can go follow you.
Yeah. So I am going to be at the course in New York City in June. I'm actually gonna have a booth there. So if you
Cool.
wanted to come and grow our community, like I said, the East Coast, we're slacking a lot
Yeah.
compared to the West Coast. Speaking of the West Coast, I'm gonna be in at LashCon too. I always go to that though. So if you see me, come say hello. But yeah, my Instagram is Laceys underscore lash and aesthetic underscore supply. And you can check out the website. You can order straight from there. If you're in my area, you could actually get delivery too. So if you are, have clients back to back and you can't come pick up stuff and you're really in a pinch for that one person who wants extra, extra long lashes or whatever it is, you can always order online and have it delivered to you. Yeah, I'll be teaching a few of my own courses in April. I do the best techniques and practices lash course that I created, and it's really, really great for new and even experienced lash artists. It gives you a little bit of everything that you need. And then I'm always my students' mentors forever. I always tell them
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to get rid of me. I'm going to check in on you even if you don't want me to. I think that's a big thing in our industry too, that sometimes our educators just vanish into the wind.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to get rid of me if I'm ever your teacher.
I love that. Yes, and I will put all the links of your website and your Instagram and everything in the show notes of the episode so people can go follow you. But thank you so much for taking your time to share all of your experience. And I think that we had so many good conversations and insights that people can take away about, just building a clientele that can withstand economic downturns because we never know when they're going to happen. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kayla. And
thank
if
you, Lacey.
anybody ever has any questions too, you can always DM me about recession-proof clientele.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.